Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Tilt World Pro. My name is Sebastian. I've been making videos on TikTok for a few years, but I kind of stopped for the last 2 years. I had a lot of stuff on my plate with school and work and, just other responsibilities. Yeah, and also while I was making those wrestling videos, it kind of affected the way I was watching wrestling. It kind of made me, I don't know, not see it the same way. But luckily, I've matured over the years, so yeah, I'm gonna try this again. But yeah, let's get right into it. AEW Collision was on tonight. It was really good. I thought Collision was actually better this week than Dynamite. Dynamite was very good. We had that Kevin Knight and MJF match, but yeah, something about Collision, it just felt really smooth throughout the entire 2 hours. We opened with FTR and the Rascals, which was a really solid tag team match. FTR's reign hasn't been fantastic, but it's been pretty solid. They've been putting on great matches, and their new dynamic with Stokely Hathaway, I think, is really funny. The feud with the Young Bucks has been hit or miss over the years. The matches have been always good, but when it comes to the actual feud, it hasn't been very memorable, at least not as much as the AEW fans would like. I think that's kind of a problem with AEW. They don't always hit it out of the park when it comes to the stories, but when it comes to the pay-per-view matches, they're always fantastic. They're always outstanding. So yeah, I'm expecting nothing less. When it comes to the Young Bucks and FTR, I think their match at Revolution will be very good. Um, yeah, let's get right into the AEW Revolution card. I have it pulled up right here on the screen. So yeah, let's get right into it. They did announce today the 21-man Blackjack Battle Royale, which will feature Ricochet defending his AEW National Championship. I'm sure Jack Perry will be in that match. I'm surprised they're just not running that match one-on-one, especially considering Jack Perry is from Los Angeles. But, the Battle Royale will be fun. It's on the 0 hour. It was announced today, actually, on Collision that the 0 hour will be on HBO Max for free, which is cool if you have HBO Max. I'm not sure if it's going to be on YouTube still. I'm sure it will be. I don't see why it wouldn't. I probably see Ricochet just coming out of that Battle Royal with the title still. I'm assuming they're going to eventually run that Jack Perry and Ricochet match one-on-one again. But you never know. Someone could come in and surprise everybody and win the title. But considering it is on the 0 hour, I don't see Ricochet losing the belt. Okay, let's get into the another match that was announced tonight. Actually, was Tony Storm and Marina Shafir. Pretty good rivalry, I think. Tony Storm has been kind of messing around with the mid card in the men's division with Wheeler Yuta and the Death Riders. She's basically been feuding with the Death Riders, and she's just had homies having her back, like Orange Cassidy. Uh, the mixed tag match at Grand Slam Australia was really good. I thought Wheeler Yuta getting his head shaved was pretty funny. Um, yeah, Tony Storm is just one of the best women's wrestlers, one of the best wrestlers, period, of all time, especially in AEW's history. I think her feud with Marina Shafir has been pretty solid. She's been able to elevate Marina Shafir. We've been able to see more of Shafir's character and her personality, which I think has just been great. Shafir is intimidating, domineering. Whenever she's on screen, I'm like, oh shit, like she might come and get me next. Which is something I really like in a heel. It's very rare that we get heels that, at least me personally, that I'm like afraid of, that I wouldn't want to be in the same room as. And Shafir's definitely one of them. She can kick anybody's ass. And I think her personality's been shining through. Tony Storm's one of the best characters in AEW. Her character work's always solid. She's always entertaining. The match itself will be pretty good, I think. I don't think Marina Shafir is like Athena or Tony Storm or Mercedes levels of in-ring talent, but Shafir always puts on pretty entertaining matches. I love watching her kick some ass. So yeah, hopefully everyone banned from ringside, we get a solid one-on-one match. I think Tony Storm will more than likely win, considering on Collision tonight she was speaking on going back into the world title division. I know she wants to face either Tekla or Chris Statlander, which we'll get into in a minute. So yeah, that'll be cool. I'm assuming Toni Storm will eventually win the World Heavyweight Championship again, considering we're getting Mercedes Moné losing her belts, and she'll eventually go after that world title again. So I can definitely see Toni Storm versus Mercedes at All In this year. I think it makes sense. So yeah, I got Toni Storm taking this one. Alright, next up, we got Swerve Strickland and Brody King, the two most dangerous men in AEW. It's pretty interesting, this rivalry, considering where we were with Brody King just a few years ago. He was basically just the big man in the House of Black, kind of Malachi's heater in a way. And now Malachi, who's now Aleister Black again in the Fed, we've been able to see more of Brody King in the Continental Classic over the years. He's been always a mainstay in that tournament. He's always putting on great matches. And his tag team with Bandito last year was one of the biggest surprises, I think, to come out of wrestling. Their tag team matches were always fantastic, but their dynamic was really cool to see too. The friendship I thought was really awesome. Brody King being from LA, I believe he's in a metal band called God's Hate. And Bandito being from Mexico, I think there's a natural kind of connection. Growing up Mexican, it's always easier to get along with people from LA because, you know, LA is so diverse. So I think that's a really cool connection, the LA and Mexico connection. So it was cool to see Brody King and Bandito run the tag division for a few months. And now we're seeing Bandito and Brody King's singles careers really lift off. Brody King and Bandito both had matches with MJF for the world title. Both solid matches, though they both did lose. So you gotta wonder, where do they go next with these two people? You know, you don't want to lose them in the shuffle. You want to make sure they're staying on top, that they're important characters. Because that's one thing with AEW, the roster's so huge and everyone is so talented. It's very easy for someone to be off TV for a few weeks, and then when they come back, they're just not as hot because someone else was able to take that steam and momentum. But luckily, we have Bandito and Brody King both on the pay-per-view in huge matches. Like, monumental matches in my opinion, because Swerve Strickland is one of the greatest World Heavyweight Champions in AEW's history, and he's one of the main characters in AEW right now. So seeing Brody King and Swerve Strickland face off to see who the most dangerous man in AEW is, I think it's a cool idea, you know? And I think the match will be swell. It's going to be hard-hitting. I'm hoping at least one of these dudes bleeds in this match. It'll be really cool to see the violence, the aggression from Brody King coming out, considering Swerve Strickland hung him by the neck with the chain on Wednesday on Dynamite. And Swerve Strickland's new heel turn, I think, is really cool as well. Seeing that mean string from Swerve is entertaining again. Him as a face, I've always liked, but I don't know, there's something about him as a heel that feels more natural, I suppose, maybe more entertaining. I'm not sure. If you're watching, let me know what you think. Be sure to ask any questions or give any opinions. You know, I'll keep an eye on the chat. But when it comes to Swerve and Brody King, I think Swerve is taking it. I think Swerve's going to win. Because Swerve has been talking about that World Heavyweight title, and he hasn't gotten that match with MJF yet. Considering they're both heels, will we get that match in the next few months? It's hard to say. But I do have Swerve beating Brody King here. I would like to see Brody King win. I think it'd be a surprise. We could extend the rivalry for a few months. It would be interesting, you know? But we'll see. I think Swerve's taking this one. Alright, next up we have Bandito and Andrade El Idolo. Andrade, ever since leaving the WWE, has completely, I don't want to say revitalized his career, because his career was always really good, really solid. He was always on TV, no matter where he was. I've been watching Andrade since he came to NXT with Zelina Vega in the late 2010s. So I've always been a fan of his since I first saw his matches. And Bandito, about the same thing. Late 2010s was when I, found out about him. I think it was through AEW's first show, which wasn't really AEW yet, but All In. I believe Bandito was in that main event with Rey Mysterio. Great wrestler. Both of these guys are fantastic wrestlers. Bandito's match with MJF was one of the best of the year so far. Andrade's with Kenny Omega, don't even get me started. That was a fantastic match as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this match goes. I think the ceiling will probably be like 4.5 stars. I'm hoping these guys get a lot of time to show off their talent. And I think this is a first time ever match in general. I don't think this match has happened ever, Bandito and Andrade. So I'm excited for that. I live in Los Angeles, so I'm thinking about going to this show. Though at the same time, I'm trying to save up some money because All In does look pretty fun, and I would like to go to a stadium show eventually. But Bandito and Andrade live in person, if you do live in the area, I would definitely suggest going. It looks like a fun match, a fun card. When it comes to who's winning this match, though, that's hard to say. I think the predictable route is probably Andrade, kind of similar to Swerve. They're both going after the world title. They both want that momentum. So I can see Andrade winning here. I want Bandito to win, but I think Andrade is taking it. If Andrade does win here, will he challenge Bandito for the Ring of Honor World title? I think that'd be pretty cool to see Andrade with the Ring of Honor World title for a bit, even if it's just like a month or two. You know, give him some accolades. If you're not going to put the AEW World Heavyweight Championship on him yet, then yeah, give him the World Heavyweight Championship in another company, in ROH, just like Andrade is going all over the world in the Indies. I believe he has a couple world titles on him already in Europe and other countries. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Plus, it would be a great main event on an ROH pay-per-view. But yeah, I have El Idolo taking this one. Easy dub, I guess. Alright, next match we have the Don Callis family versus Mystico and Jet Speed. This match definitely came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone was expecting Mystico to team up with Jet Speed, let alone be on this card. So that's interesting off the bat. The Don Callis family, Kazuchika Okada, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis won the World Trios Championships on Wednesday in an impromptu match after Kevin Knight had already wrestled MJF. So it was a pretty surprising turn of events. I wasn't expecting the Don Callis family to win the Trios Championships, excuse me. But yeah, it was a pretty cool surprise. I think that was the best route to go considering Hangman's in this world title feud right now. You know, you want to put the titles on people that can defend them regularly, and I don't know. You're in the same position in a way because Kyle Fletcher and Okada both have singles titles. But I do like seeing Mark Davis with the championship considering Jake Doyle. I was about to say Jake something, but he does go by Jake Doyle now. Was unfortunately injured. And I do believe him and Doyle and Davis were going to run that tag division this year. So until Doyle comes back, why not? Yeah, Aussie Open and Okada. You could have great trios championships for the next 2 to 3 months easily. And I think this will be a one to watch for sure. When it comes to these other matches like Bandito and Andrade or Swerve and Brody, I don't think this trios match will be as great. It'll probably be a fun match, but I don't see it really going into that next gear. I would be surprised if it does. I have the DCF, Don Callis family taking this. It's pretty obvious. Probably Mike Bailey takes the pin because Mystico does not take pins anywhere. And Kevin Knight is more than likely going to turn heel and buddy up with Swerve. Because on Collision tonight, while Bailey and the Jet, Kevin Knight, were doing an interview with Lexi Nair, Swerve interrupts, goes up to Kevin Knight and says, like, look, if you want to win championships, you have to be a killer. And then he looked at Bailey like, yo, like, if you want to be like me, be a world title, like, you got to get rid of this dead weight. And you could tell Bailey was feeling a way about that. And you could tell Kevin Knight was kind of thinking about it. So I think that's where we're going with Jet Speed. I think we're going to get a split pretty soon, which is unfortunate. I would have liked to seen Jet Speed win the tag titles at least once before splitting this up. But I don't mind it. I think the Jet, Kevin Knight, will be a fantastic heel. He has so much confidence, and his ability in the ring is undeniable. Ever since I saw him wrestle for New Japan on those strong shows that were happening in LA in the early 2020s, I want to say like 3 years ago, I was instantly impressed with him. He has a charisma that just kind of oozes off the camera, which is really cool. There's not many characters like that where they're so young and they have so much charisma. MJF's definitely one of them. But yeah, I think unfortunately the Jet will be turning heel, and the Don Callis family will win this trios championship match. But it should be pretty fun. I don't see it being a boring match. All right, next up, let's go with Jon Moxley and Konosuke Takeshita. Takeshita, man, one of the best wrestlers in the world, like undeniably one of the best. I think his matches in the G1 Climax last year was great. His run with the world title belt was pretty cool. I know people were kind of mixed on it, considering he is an AEW wrestler, but he is signed to all three companies, being New Japan, AEW, and Pro Wrestling Noah, which is also a Japanese pro wrestling company if you were not aware. So Takeshi's just taking dubs all over the world. His Continental Classic run was really good as well, but when it comes to the Continental Classic last year, that was Jon Moxley's tournament. His selling of his limbs during the duration of the tournament was awesome. His character's pretty cool. It's in a cool place. The Death Riders in the midst of a babyface turn, so that's interesting. Though it's kind of confusing, this Don Callis family and Death Riders rivalry, because I saw a sign on Collision tonight. It said, "Who's the babyface?" And I agree with that. Like, it's kind of hard to tell who exactly we're supposed to be cheering for, considering Takeshita's wrestling like a babyface. But Moxley's been kind of a babyface also the past month or two. Whereas you have Garcia, Yuta, and Shafir all definitely being heels. So I think they need to kind of make a decision here on where to go. If this is the end of the Moxley Takeshita thing, then I guess it doesn't really matter. Since we're going to eventually get to Takeshita and Okada, they've been doing a very slow build with that, which I personally don't mind. I like slow builds because we get a lot of story, and we only get 1 or 2 episodes of TV a week, and Takeshita and Okada are probably only on those episodes for about a minute. So you got to think about how much story you can really tell in that time. So yeah, I really want to get to this Takeshita and Okada match though. I think the Death Riders and Don Callis family rivalry has been cool. The matches have all been entertaining, but we need to lean one way or another. I want to see either the Don Callis family really mess up the Death Riders and force them to turn babyface, maybe take out Garcia or take out Yuta, kind of force Moxley, Pac, and Claudio to kind of reevaluate things. When it comes to the Don Callis family, I'm hoping they kick out Takeshita maybe after this Revolution match. I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe Takeshita loses, or even he wins the belt and the DCF attack him anyway. On Collision tonight, it was really interesting to see Echiseto attacked Moxley after the match, and Takeshita stopped him and said, "Yo, I don't need that. Like, I can beat him on my own." So we're definitely getting that story. It depends on how fast we're going to get to that climax of this story. This match is probably the most unpredictable on the card, Moxley and Takeshita, because Moxley's having a cool run with the belt. I personally would like Takeshita to win, because I think Takeshita's the better wrestler in this moment in time. But my heart's going with Moxley, I think. That's where my gut, my gut is going with Moxley, I want to say. It should be a great match, though. No time limit. These guys may go... It depends on how the rest of the card shapes up. You know, when it comes to the time the matches are given. It'd be pretty cool to see these guys go like 40, 60 minutes. Just because, you know, continental matches don't go past 20. So I think we're definitely going to go past 30 at least. I'm hoping it anyway. But yeah, I got Moxley retaining. Takeshita could easily win though. If you are watching, if there's anyone here, comment what match you're most excited for in the chat. I would appreciate it. Just to kind of get a conversation going. This is my first live stream, so I'm sorry if I'm, talking at 50 miles an hour. I'm definitely getting used to talking and being in front of a camera. But I'm looking to stream once a week, so we'll see how it goes. Speaking of how it goes, this tag team rivalry, FTR and the Young Bucks. Tonight, FTR faced the Rascals on Collision. I wasn't expecting the Rascals to win the titles by any means, but there were some great false finishes. If you haven't seen Collision or haven't seen that match specifically, definitely check it out. It's not a 5-star match by any means, but it's just a really solid tag team TV match, which we don't get a lot these days in American pro wrestling. The tag team division in WWE is not great. The tag team division in AEW is starting to look pretty good, but it wasn't great the past few months. We got to be honest. But I'm definitely excited for this match after FTR attacked the Young Bucks family. That was a really cool angle. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but FTR attacked the Young Bucks brother, gave him a huge pile driver. Very cool. When it comes to who wins this match, though, FTR or the Young Bucks, I have FTR winning because we're more than likely getting that Copeland and Christian Cage match. I think they've already faced each other, FTR and Cope and Christian, but we'll probably get that rematch, and we'll more than likely get Cope and Christian winning the tag titles. I mean, we have to, right? That's what Cope came to the company for in the first place. So I'm hoping we get that. I know Cope is busy with the Percy Jackson show. They're probably filming or promoting. So we'll more than likely get him back soon. But yeah, I have FTR winning because we're going to get that Cope and Christian rematch or first time. I can't remember if they faced each other or not. The Young Bucks are looking great. Ever since they turned babyface, their matches have been like 50 times better. Their heel work was always pretty good, but them as babyfaces is why they're known as one of the best tag teams of all time. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for this match. I don't know if it'll be better than their Wembley match a few years ago. I know they had a ladder match at Dynasty, but that ladder match took place right after Danielson and Ospreay, so I don't remember like really anything about that ladder match. So I'm hoping this one goes pretty hard. I'm hoping it's a memorable match, because if FTR is going to win, then at least we take away a great match from it. I'm a fan of FTR, but this tag team reign hasn't been great. All right, next up we have the two more than likely main events. Depending on where this women's match will be placed, it should be one of the main events. We have Tekla, the brand new AEW World Champion, and Chris Statlander, the former World Champion, facing off in a 2 out of 3 falls match. I love 2 out of 3 falls matches. It kind of allows for the wrestlers to tell the story at a good pace, at a comfortable pace. And I think both of these ladies are some of the best wrestlers on earth. So it should be a fantastic match. Tekla's mic work and character work is some of the best in AEW's women's division right now. And Statlander, unfortunately, her mic work is just not for me. It's just very monotone, very stale. I don't know I think she needs a manager, but I don't know. We already had her with Stokely, and that didn't necessarily work out. I don't know. Statlander, I think, needs to turn heel. I think if she turns heel, her mean streak, her mean streak will be able to breathe more. And the Cosmic Killer character, she says that she's more killer than cosmic. So I think if she turns heel, she'll be allowed to show that. She'll be able to beat up some women and really show that killer side. But yeah, I definitely have Tekla winning this match. I don't see why you would take the title off of Tekla right now. She's doing some of the best work in either division, the men's or women's. So we'll see what's good. I think Tekla takes it, though, like, easily. She may even sweep Statlander, but I don't think that would happen. I think since we're getting a 2 out of 3 falls match, we'll go all 3 falls. It should be one of the best matches on the card, though. I wouldn't be surprised if it is the best match, depending on how it goes. And we have the main event, the AEW World Championship in the men's division. MJF and Hangman Adam Page. Oh man, if you would have told me this time last year that Hangman Page would have more controversy to his name than MJF, I would have looked at you crazy. But that's where we are. Hangman has definitely dug a hole for himself ever since being spotted with a certain wrestler that is not very well liked for a good reason. And his response to that wasn't great. I don't want to get into a bunch of drama, but yeah, Hangman isn't looking like the triumphant babyface in real life as much as he is on TV. Let's just put it at that. And yeah, it's definitely affected the way I view Hangman. You know, whenever he does those promos, those babyface fiery promos, it just doesn't hit the same anymore for me. Ever since he posted that selfie with that guy, I know that's a petty thing, but like it really did affect the way I view his character because he's such a righteous guy, you know, and he always stands up for people. So the way he responded to that controversy was just pretty disappointing, honestly. So on the other hand, we have MJF, who ever since winning the title has been doing the best work of his career, in my opinion. His work last year was fantastic. His matches with Mystico in particular were some of the best work last year. But ever since winning the World Championship, MJF has really taken the responsibility of being the guy, in AEW. He's defending the belt in AEW. He's defending the belt on the indies. He's really putting the company on his back. He's representing the company, which as a world champion, that's what you would want. And as a fan, I think it's pretty cool to see because he's giving opportunities. Well, not him, but he's in these matches. He's in these scenarios where he's able to use his character and use the ability to not only put himself over, but to make other characters more interesting. Bandito, for instance, MJF's heel work with Bandito really was able to endear me more to Bandito as a babyface. And I think MJF is doing his best to endear us to Hangman Page. But yeah, it's just not great. Honestly, if I'm being real with you guys, this MJF and Hangman Page match is probably the one I'm least excited for out of all of these matches. Even this Battle Royal seems more interesting to me. But the Hangman Page and MJF match should be good because it is a Texas death match. So we do have that to look forward to, you know, some violence, some gimmicks, some weapons. When it comes to who wins this match, though, I think it's definitely going to be MJF. You know, he's having a great run, and there's still so many people for him to work with. And I think MJF is in the middle of his prime right now. He's probably just beginning his prime. So since you have the belts on him, get these matches, man. Get these matches that we weren't able to get last time. Like Swerve, Andrade, Kenny Omega again. They had a match on Collision, MJF and Omega did, but a pay-per-view match? You're telling me that wouldn't be awesome? And then eventually MJF will face Will Ospreay more than likely, unless Kenny Omega beats MJF first for the belt, which I could see. Ichia16 in the chat. Hello, thank you for dropping a chat. I really appreciate it. She says the Hurt People, the Hurt Syndicate, they hurt people for sure. I'm excited to see them come back. I don't know if Bobby Lashley is still injured or what's up with him. I'm sure Shelton isn't injured. He wrestled Moxley the other week. I'm not sure why we're not getting more of MVP and Shelton on Collision or even Dynamite. I mean, it's pretty cool that we're focusing AEW is on the younger talent, but Shelton's still really good. And MVP is one of the best on the mic. So you could have easily, while Bobby was out, put Shelton in a little feud with someone who needs the elevation. I can't really think of a name right now. But yeah, you could have really put Shelton with anybody, had some great matches, had a little TV rivalry. I don't know, I thought that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, I'm hoping Bobby Lashley does come back fairly soon. Bobby could even win the world title, and I wouldn't mind, even if it's just for like a month or two. I know Bobby doesn't have the best matches, but seeing him with that belt, it just would look aesthetically pleasing. And you could easily have Bandito beat Lashley. I think that would be a great visual, having him hit the 21 plex on Bobby Lashley. I'm going off kilter, though. I'm ranting and raving. But I'm hoping we get the Hurt Syndicate back very soon. Okay, I'm not sure. Did I say who I think will win this match yet? If I didn't, let's just reiterate. MJF is walking out of Revolution with the World Heavyweight Championship in the men's division. I don't think any other matches will be announced, but it is AEW. I would not be surprised if they throw on like 2 or 3 more matches. I'm hoping they don't though, because this is enough. Like, let these matches breathe. We don't need a bunch of matches. I've been rewatching some of those old NXT takeovers, and they were like 5 or 6 matches, 2-hour events, really great pacing. I'm not saying this needs to be 2 hours, but you know, 3 hours is better than four. I think 4 to 5 hours you can save that for your big shows. It's way too much because by the time I get to the main event, I'm either like too tired or I'm just like over it. Like I want to watch something else or do something else. But that's just me personally. You feel me? I don't know how you guys feel about these longer shows or these shows with a bunch of matches on them. Tony Khan has said that he wants to put more matches because people are paying their hard-earned money, which I definitely respect. You know, you want to give people bang for their buck, no pun intended. But yeah, Revolution's looking great. I think as a full card, it's looking better than last year. But last year's was a great event. We had that steel cage match with Ospreay and Fletcher. Omega and Takeshita was solid. MJF and Hangman Page, a rematch. Page and MJF had a really good opener last year. And then, of course, Tony Storm and Mariah May. One of the best AEW matches ever. So yeah, this year's card definitely has a lot to live up to, but I think it can do it. And AEW is getting about 10K plus people in there. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a fun night. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy Revolution wherever you guys are watching that. If you're going live, have fun. If you're watching at home, you know, have even more fun. I think watching at home personally is a better experience because you can just order some food, relax. But I do love going live as well. Ichia says Andrade. Andrade is one of the best. I agree. Um, Torvivo, what's up? Thank you for commenting. He or she says, "Are you going?" I'm thinking about it. You know, the nosebleeds are like what, like 30, $40. You know, me personally, I'm kind of in a tight spot financially. You know, paying rent and all those type of things. Paying for college. I recently went back to school, so I have a lot on my plate. But yeah, quick $40. If you're in the area, definitely go. It's worth going. I went to Revolution last year. That's the only reason I'm thinking about not going this year is because I went last year. And I would like to go to another AEW pay-per-view that I haven't seen before. So yeah, I'll probably be there. Are you going though? Let me know if you're going in the chat. Maybe we could all go get some Denny's or something. Get some pancakes. If you are watching, let me know what your favorite AEW pay-per-view is. If you have a favorite. You know, all these shows are great, but personally, I love Full Gear. I just love the name of it, the branding, the stages are always pretty cool. And that was the first AEW pay-per-view I went to in person, Full Gear 2023. Swerve and Hangman, that Texas death match. Like, honestly, I was sitting there with a bunch of strangers because I went by myself, and we were all just in awe. Like, that night, I think everyone in the arena realized Swerve like was gonna win the world title that night after that match. It was just a different reaction for him. After the show ended, everyone was chanting whose house, Swerve's house. Everyone was talking about that match. So yeah, it's really cool to see almost 3 years later. Hangman's still doing great, Swerve's still doing great. So yeah, pretty cool. Just a little tidbit about my experience. Torvivo, hey, you're gonna be there for sure. That's cool. Uh, I think you can DM on TikTok. So hit me up on the TikTok. There should be a link in the description. If not, yeah, let me know if you can't find it. Torvivo also says, "Why is the merch much more expensive at pay-per-views?" Honestly, it's because of convenience. Because they know you're already there. You're already in the building. So yeah, I think they're just able to up the price because you're there in person. So you're more than likely to be like, hey, I'm already here. I'll buy a shirt. Why not? So they're able to kind of increase the price on you because they know you're going to buy it anyway. At least that's my take on it. You know, I'm not too well versed in business, but that's just the most logical answer I could give you. Because when you order online, what, a shirt's like 20, $30. Then you have the shipping and all that. It's another 10. so it's like 40. At the AEW events, the shirts I think are like 50 freaking dollars now. I never buy merch at the shows. I went to AEW Grand Slam Dynamite 2021. I flew from LA to New York for one night. I was only in New York for one night just for that show, and it was so worth it. I mean, what a freaking show that was. Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. Uh, but the reason I brought that up was because I did buy a shirt at that event, and it was like $35 for an AEW like New York themed shirt. So the past few events that I've gone to, I'm always surprised to see how expensive these shirts are. It's really like not cool in my opinion, but I get it. These companies got to make money. Um, Miguel Monkey Trejo was good. Thank you for commenting, guys. I really appreciate it. This is my first time live streaming, so it's really cool to be able to interact with people that also like wrestling. I think that's awesome. You know, it's hard to come across people that like wrestling in real life. So the online community is always a really great way to make friends and just talk about graps. But Trejo says, I do feel like Bandito will be champion either later this year or next year. Let me know who you think Bandito would beat for the belt. I do think Bandito has to win the world title eventually. Will it be this year? I don't know, because we have Ospreay, we have Omega, and we have Swerve. I think those three will win the belt first. I could see Omega beating MJF. Ospreay beats Omega at All In. Then Ospreay holds the belt for the rest of the year. Excuse me. Ospreay holds the belt for the rest of the year. Then drops it to Swerve, who Ospreay has never beaten if I'm not wrong. At least not in AEW. And they tagged together, so at All In last year. So that's a built-in story for sure with Ospreay and Swerve. Long-term story, that is. I see Swerve beating Ospreay for the title. Maybe at like World's End. Then we could have Bandito beat Swerve at Grand Slam Mexico next year. I think that would be freaking awesome. If that happened, man, what a series of events. What a couple world champions, because you know Omega will put on some good matches, tell some good stories. Ospreay's going to have amazing matches. He's going to come back with a chip on his shoulder for sure. He's been out, almost a year, I want to say. I don't know if I'm wrong on that. Probably like half a year, because he did wrestle at All In. But yeah, it's going to be great to see Ospreay back. Wow. So yeah, that's AEW Revolution. I'm really excited for this pay-per-view. Whether I go in person or watch at home, it's going to be a fun night. But before I get out of here, I want to talk about some other events that happened this week and just some other stuff that happened this week. If there's anything you guys want to talk about, put it in the chat. I'll lightly touch. I don't love WWE anymore, if I'm being real with you guys. But I do keep up with it, like on social media and, through clips and all that. When it comes to having a wrestling, channel or page or whatever, I feel like all these channels feel like they have to talk about WWE because it's such a dominating presence in the wrestling community. But me personally, I don't want to talk about WWE, but I don't mind talking about it if you guys do want to talk about some things when it comes to that company. But let's talk about some women's wrestling. It is International Women's Month, and I believe today is International Women's Day, so it's only appropriate. La Noche de la Amazonas. My Spanish isn't great, if I'm being real with you guys. I'm a no sabo kid. My whole family calls me Güero, which if you don't know Spanish, that means white boy. So yeah, I'm studying Spanish. I'm trying to get better. But yeah, it's not great, dude. It's not great. But that's another reason why I started watching CMLL. I want to really understand Lucha Libre, how it's booked, how it looks, because my only really experience with Lucha Libre growing up was, what WWE put on TV. Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, Super Crazy, Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, people of that nature. So being able to watch CMLL these past few months has been a pleasant experience. Watching all these male luchadores has been fun. Commander, Bandito, Soberano Jr. I'm still new to this company, so I don't know everyone yet, but Everyone I've seen has been awesome, but the women are freaking great, dude. Persephone, people have compared her to Mercedes when Mercedes was in NXT, and Mercedes is the GOAT in my opinion when it comes to American wrestlers. So seeing her put over these women like Alex Windsor, and Persephone, really cool. I think it's freaking awesome to see Mercedes put over these women, elevate them to a level where we can see the future of women's wrestling being as strong as it is right now. The If you haven't seen this event, definitely check it out. The Megan Bayne and Olympia match was freaking hard hitting. Two huge, muscular, tall women just beating the hell out of each other. Olympia can do some flips too, and Megan Bayne just so cool, man. I talked about earlier how Marina Shafir has that like intimidating heel factor. Megan Bayne is just cool to me. Like I've never seen a wrestler where off the bat I just thought they were the coolest wrestler ever. I think it has to do with her height, but her presence. She's so confident. She treats every match like a big deal. Super cool stuff. So yeah, Olympia and Megan Bayne was an awesome match. Zeuxis and Mina Shirakawa was awesome as well. It felt like a main event collision match. That's how good it was. I didn't really see much of the undercard, though. If you have time, check it out. Get to know other wrestlers, other women's wrestlers. It's worth it. The tag team match for the CMLL women's tag team belts was really fun as well. Starlight Kid and May Serra from Stardom. I just recently got into Stardom as well, so I'm trying to kind of catch up on that. Starlight Kid is one of my favorites that I've seen so far in Stardom. Her mask is cool. Her wrestling's great. Really fun tag team match. Luvia y La Jarochita. That was my first time seeing them. They're a really cool tag team. I would love to see them on AEW, honestly. Since we're getting the AEW Women's Tag Division built up, why not bring in some tag teams from Mexico as well? We just got the inspiration from Australia, who have, fame from other companies as well. They just came in. So the women's tag division is starting to shape up. The Brawling Birds are such a cool tag team to me. They have a really cool presentation. They have some cool catchphrases. And both Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter are two of the coolest wrestlers in AEW. But the main event, Mercedes and Persephone. If you've seen any Mercedes match, you know she's a great wrestler. But what people don't really talk about is her ability to work a crowd, her ability to get a crowd to really care about the babyface. We have to think about what she did for Bayley 10 years ago, and now what she's doing for Persephone in Mexico. If you watch the match, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But Persephone did beat Mercedes Moné in a great 18-minute match, perfectly paced. Some great moves, great moments. Persephone's family was involved in some moments. Megan Bayne was in Mercedes' corner, and Olympia was in Persephone's corner. So that added an interesting element as well. But Persephone beating Mercedes, the crowd reacted like their hero just won, like their hometown person. So that was really cool. I'd never seen a crowd react like that for a woman. Like honestly, in Mexico, I'm very new. I'm very new to Mexican wrestling, to lucha libre, to watching it at least. So yeah, watching Persephone beat Mercedes in the way she did after Mercedes kicked out of her finisher, which is the Razor's Edge, the Razor Ramon move, and Sheamus famously used it as well. Apparently, no women had kicked out of it before, and Mercedes did kick out of it, so the crowd reacted like it was a huge deal. The English commentary had Veda Scott on it, which was pretty cool. But yeah, the ending was great. Persephone then hit a springboard frog splash off the top rope that looked fantastic, and she pinned Mercedes. Hero's reaction, Hero's journey, I guess. It kind of culminated to this moment after Mercedes beat Persephone the first time, and Mercedes had a meltdown. She continues to go down this rabbit hole of losing all her championships and just kind of losing her mind at the same time, which is an interesting anecdote, an interesting arc for her character. I think it's the best thing for her character right now is to just really be humbled. I don't know if I'd want to see her turn babyface before winning the world title, in AEW. Because I love her as a heel. I think she's just so cool. It's like having Charlotte as a face. It just doesn't really compute. It doesn't really work that well. But but yeah, a fantastic CMLL all women's card. Tony Khan, what are you doing? Book an all women's show already. Even if it's in a smaller arena like the 2300 arena in Philadelphia, it can easily be done. AEW's women's rosters one of the best in the world. And now you have this partnership with CMLL, with Stardom, with New Japan. You could put on one of the best women's wrestling shows ever. So yeah, that needs to be done. Because the more I grow up, the more I appreciate women's wrestling. I feel like when I watch women's wrestling, I'm able to kind of comprehend the X's and O's, so to speak, like the intricacies a little bit better. I don't know why when I watch men, I'm like, it's just these muscular guys like doing stuff. Whereas the women, it feels more controlled. It feels more precise. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, fantastic show. But that wasn't the only women's show this week. Pro Wrestling Eve, a indie promotion out of England. This was my first time ever really checking them out. I've only really heard about them because Will Ospreay, I believe, has a lot to do with running this company. I'm not too sure like how much he does or like if he's an owner or whatever. But he had a lot to do with me checking this show out. Nahognos was good. Thank you for commenting. I really appreciate it. They say we want more women's cards. I'm saying, man, like, what are we doing? We had WWE Evolution last year, which I still haven't seen. Unfortunately, I don't really watch WWE anymore. But I heard Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer had a great match on there, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Naomi had cashed in her Money in the Bank on that show as well. But yeah, man, I agree. We need more women's cards at least once a year. And we need a women's Continental Classic already. Like, what's taking so long? I know we just introduced the tag division, so that was a focus. But come on. What are we doing? But yeah, Pro Wrestling Eve. Freaking amazing pro wrestling. I got to, not discover, that's the wrong word, but watch some of these indie English wrestlers for the first time, which is always cool. I think it's always cool to take some time to watch indie wrestling. It's like watching college sports. When you watch the NBA and you see a new guy come in, you got to see their career blossom. It's very similar. But if you're going to watch anything on this card, it has to be Jamie Hayter versus Miyu Yamashita. Miyu Yamashita, is one of the best, most underrated women's wrestlers in the world. Tokyo Joshi Pro, I believe, is the company she works for primarily. And Jamie Hayter, I'm sure most of you know, one of the hardest hitting. Her matches are always entertaining. Her match with Mercedes last year was fantastic. But this match was freaking crazy. It being in a small arena really enhanced this match because they were brawling all over the arena. It had a big fight feel. The crowd chanted, "Here we effing go." In the beginning of the match, the crowd was hype. Jamie Hayter and Yamashita were trading blows pretty much for like 20 minutes, just striking back and forth. And some huge power moves were done. Jamie Hayter threw Yamashita into the wall on the outside. Some really cool spots. And Yamashita's kicks are some of the best looking strikes that any wrestler does. Malachi Black, eat your heart out, because Yamashita has the best kicks in pro wrestling. Or Aleister Black, I believe now. But yeah, Jamie Hayter, Yamashita, if you're going to watch any match, I think this is honestly the match of the week. There were some great matches on AEW, great matches on CMLL, Mercedes and Persephone. That's probably the most well-structured match this week. Like, it'll probably, in a few years, it'll age the best. But Jamie Hayter and Yamashita, man, just hard-hitting, fantastic. They had a time limit draw at 20 minutes. There's 20-minute time limits on some of these matches, or if not all of them, I believe. So they had a time limit draw, and Jamie Hayter puts up the 5. She wants 5 more minutes, and Will Ospreay comes running out. He said that someone on Twitter said this is what we do, which is a Triple H thing, if you know. So Ospreay adds 5 more minutes to the match. Yamashita and Hayter just beating the hell out of each other for 5 more minutes. We get another draw. Eventually, we get security coming out to pull them apart. They shake hands, and then they start beating up each other again. So hopefully we get a rematch. Whether it's on an EVE show, in Japan, or in AEW, I will be there. I will watch. Alex Windsor and Azumi teamed up to defeat Sapphire Reed and Suri. Suri is one of the best as well. If you have never watched one of her matches, go out of your way to watch any of her matches. She's freaking awesome. And Azumi is one of the best young wrestlers in the world as well. Alex Windsor's solid. Really solid tag match. Not as great as the Hayter and Yamashita match, but if you like tag team wrestling, it's worth checking out. But yeah, that was two cards with fantastic women's wrestling on it. Mercedes meltdown continues. Jamie Hayter's picking up W's all over the world. Fantastic stuff. Let's go over Dynamite really quick that happened this week. MJF defeated Kevin Knight in a pretty solid match. I didn't love it. I didn't think it really kind of got into that next gear, but it was a lot of selling. MJF was really working Kevin Knight, which enhanced the story for that episode. So it made sense. It was a logical match for that episode, but I didn't think they really went out. But it was their first time wrestling each other, I believe. And Kevin Knight's going to be a guy, like a main guy in this company for many years to come. And MJF obviously will be as well. So we're definitely going to get a rematch at a pay-per-view more than likely. So whenever that does happen, that'll probably be the match that I was expecting this one to be. Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy defeat the Dogs, formerly known as the War Dogs. I haven't loved the War Dogs' presentation in AEW so far. It feels like Gabe Kidd is like fallen off a peg or two. When he wrestled Kenny Omega, it felt like he was gonna be a guy like to watch, but it didn't really shape up like that. It feels like in AEW, Gabe Kidd's ceiling is a mid-card guy. I hope I'm wrong, but it just feels that way when I watch him on AEW TV. When it comes to Clark Connors, I think he'll be a solid guy. I don't know if I ever see him, main eventing a show, but who knows? I would like to see Clark Connors surprise me for sure. David Finlay debuted though on AEW, and it was surprising. Everyone knew David Finlay was leaving New Japan, but I personally expected David Finlay to end up in AEW, especially considering his younger brother is in WWE right now. He's in NXT. So I was definitely surprised to see David Finlay turn up on AEW TV. But now we have the unit. Now we have the War Dogs as a team, as a trio. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys go after the trios belts. I would like to see that. We could get a rivalry with the Bang Bang Gang eventually. But David Finlay in AEW feels like the right fit. Finlay's a great wrestler. The way he has improved over the past 2 years has really surprised me. When he first kicked Jay White out of the Bullet Club and kind of took it over, there were many people saying like, oh, Bullet Club's dead. Like, this guy sucks. I had never really watched him like that, so I was willing to give him a shot. And I didn't love his presentation with Gato. Him calling himself the Rebel felt really like forced. But he's a fantastic wrestler, man. He has really improved these past few years. So him on AEW TV, it makes sense. I think he's going to have great matches. He'll have some great rivalries with people. But when it comes to the Dogs as a unit, excuse me. When it comes to the Dogs as a unit, I don't know. Do you guys think they're going to end up like a trios thing, or we're gonna get Finley as a singles and these two guys, Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors as a tag team, or all three guys will be a single stars. They're in a rivalry right now with Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy, which hasn't been great. Gabe Kidd keeps talking about pushing up daisies. He wants to bury Darby Allin, I guess. But I don't know. Darby seems like out of it. He doesn't really seem like he's into this feud. His character work is kind of stagnant. It felt like Darby was supposed to beat Moxley for the world championship, and ever since then he's just been kind of like floating around. I know he was climbing Mount Everest, very important accomplishment. Takes a lot of time and effort. And Orange Cassidy, same thing. Like, I really do not care about his character anymore. Him being paired with Tony Storm felt like Tony Storm trying to lift Orange Cassidy. It felt like AEW was trying to use Tony Storm's popularity to get people to care about Orange again, which has worked live in the crowds. I don't think people live have ever really stopped caring about Orange. But yeah, me personally, it's just like, what more is there for this guy to do? If he's not gonna win a world championship, are you gonna have Allen and Cassidy win the tag belts? I think that would be kind of backwards. I personally would like to see Orange Cassidy turn heel. I think that would probably be the most interesting thing for his character. He could still kind of run the same lazy character gimmick, but do it in a more aggressive way. I think Cassidy turning heel on Allen would be interesting. You could have Cassidy kind of curse out Tony Storm on TV in a backstage segment that would get him some heat. I don't know, I think that'd be interesting. But when it comes to this rivalry, we'll probably just get like Darby, Orange, and a conglomeration member. Probably Roderick Strong, considering we're getting Orange talking about Roderick a lot. Versus the Dogs. If that doesn't happen at Revolution, it'll probably happen at the next pay-per-view. I know AEW has some special events coming up. You know, they do like those weeklies. They theme Dynamite or they theme Collision to make it like a special event. I think they have like a slam dunk Saturday thing coming up, so I could see that being a main event match. Cassidy, Allen, and Strong versus the Dogs. But we'll see. It's not really the most interesting thing on TV right now, though, for sure. The Brawling Birds squashed the Inspiration. I know a lot of people were not excited about the Inspiration coming in, considering they're not great wrestlers. But I think they're entertaining. I think they're cool little comedy characters. You know, not every person on AEW has to be Will Ospreay or Tony Storm or Mercedes. You know, the Inspiration being the butt of the joke here allowed for Windsor and Hayter to look even more dominant. And I think that's what you want. That's what they're here for. So they entertain me. Cassie Lee and Jesse McKay's promos are always like very Tony Storm coded. A lot of sexual innuendos. But the way they do it is very like dry humor. So I enjoy it. I don't ever see them winning the tag belts, but you could put the tag belts on them. I wouldn't mind it. I think something like if you put a heater behind the Inspiration, like a big person, and then have them cheat for the Inspiration would be entertaining. But we'll see where they go. When it comes to the Brawling Birds, though, Windsor and Hayter, they're definitely going to win the tag belts. Whether they win it before All In, go into London with the belts on them already, or they win the belts at All In, I'm not sure. But that's definitely the direction for these two. They're going to win the tag belts. I could see Lena Cross and Megan Bayne beating Willow and I almost forgot her name, Harley Cameron. I could see them, Lena Cross and Megan Bayne winning the belts, holding them for a few months, then dropping them to Windsor and Hayter. You could have Cross and Megan Bayne just run through everybody, and Shivani's like, oh my god, who's gonna beat them? And then Hayter and Windsor show up, all muscular. They strike Megan Bayne down. You know, it could be like Cena and Umaga coded, if you know about that. That's a wild comparison to make, I just realized, but whatever. Adam Page squashed Marty Snow in 10 seconds. Just a quick squash match. Then Hangman got on the mic, basically calling MJF out. You know, same old shit, honestly. I'm not really a fan of Hangman's promos anymore. I talked about that earlier. But yeah, cool. We'll get a nice Texas deathmatch out of it. Moxley and Hechicero. Hechicero is a really cool wrestler. I think his matches with smaller guys are more interesting because he's able to kind of do more, athletically speaking. This match was very slow, Moxley and Hechicero, which I was expecting going into it. But yeah, this match just dragged. But in a good way, honestly. The strikes were precise. All the limb work felt logical. So I didn't love this match. I definitely like faster paced matches more. So while I was watching this, it was definitely like almost a shell shock because on AEW you don't normally get matches like this. But yeah, pretty cool. I just glitched out a little bit. Sorry about that. And then Tekla defeated Thunder Rosa. Oh man. I used to really love watching Thunder Rosa. I thought she was fantastic. Her matches were always cool. She was a very fiery baby face, very easy to root for. Especially being a Mexican person, it's very easy to root for Thunder Rosa. But her back really got messed up, man. She does not move as well, you know. I don't want to say she's washed or anything like that, but her matches are always like not very good. Her match with Tekla was okay, but yeah, I think if Thunder Rosa can shake more rust off and just keep putting reps in, I think maybe she'll eventually get back to the person she was. But I think that back injury she had, I'm not too sure on the details of it, but I'm sure a back injury as a pro wrestler can really hinder the way you move, the way you carry people, probably just everything. But yeah, pretty cool. Tekla's a great character. Her character works fantastic. After she beats Statlander in the 2 out of 3 Falls match at Revolution, I'm not sure where we're going to go with this Tekla character, who she's going to face next. I know Queen Aminata was injured, so it'd be cool to see her come back and let them fight for the world title. We'll be able to elevate Aminata to the world title scene in that way as well. And the main event, which was an impromptu main event, I believe it was during the Hangman Page promo segment, Don Callis came out and basically took up Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey's offer. Bailey and Jet had a promo on Collision basically saying, "Oh, we'll put these World Trios belts on the line anytime, any place." So Callis was like, "Oh yeah? Well, let's do it tonight." So yeah, we had Okada, Fletcher, and Davis beat Jet Set Rodeo for the Trios belts. I never really saw Jet Set Rodeo being a long-term thing, but I wasn't expecting it to be so short-lived. But I guess it makes sense, considering Hangman's in this title feud. We're more than likely going to get Kevin Knight as a single star, and Mike Bailey's actually facing Kyle Fletcher this week on Dynamite. But yeah, it was a pretty solid episode of Dynamite. Not as great as the weeks before, but ever since the beginning of the year, every episode of Dynamite has been at least good, which is all you can ask for as an AEW fan. That's all you really want, is entertaining weekly shows and banging pay-per-views, which they've never had a problem with that. And I think Tony Khan's getting better at building people and like keeping them at a top level. That's something he had a problem with the first few years. People would get momentum and then they would just kind of like disappear or whatever. But yeah, it's getting better. I love the focus on the young talent. Ever since bringing in more people, it's been really cool. I think the cycling of talent has been better. But yeah, solid episode of Dynamite. Not the best, but really good. Really solid. Collision tonight or yesterday, depending on where you are, was better than Dynamite this week. That Claudio and Takeshita main event was banging. I don't think anyone expected anything different from these two, but really great match. Honestly, like hard hitting. The finish was cool. The post match was interesting. It added to the Moxley and Takeshita match. It made it more interesting. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Freaking awesome match. Gravity and Swerve Strickland was pretty much a squash. We're still establishing Swerve's new aggressive side, so that was cool to see. Plus, Swerve beating up Gravity allows for a Bandito feud to be more interesting in the future, considering Gravity is Bandito's brother, if you didn't know. And Private Party defeated the Outrunners, the Swirl, and La Facción Ingobernable. Ingobernables. Oh man, I need to work on that. Roosh, I think this was his first match back in a while, so it was cool to see him back. But yeah, Private Party wins 200K, so they can definitely keep throwing parties. Really fun tag team match. AEW is great at these multi-team matches. They're always freaking high speed, full throttle matches, very fun to watch. And I think I talked about this earlier, if I'm not mistaken, FTR and the Rascals fun match. Pretty cool episode of Collision. I'm not sure if there's really anything else I wanted to talk about today. I really appreciate the people who have commented, the people that I've watched. I'm gonna more than likely stream every Saturday or every Sunday. I'll try to keep on top of communicating that in the future. I guess I can quickly talk about this Danhausen in WWE thing. I know a lot of people were not a fan of it, but WWE, I don't want to say it's for the lowest common denominator fan of pro wrestling. I feel like that's really unfair to say, but it's what WWE is. You know, Danhausen fits that mold. He's a glove to WWE's hand, honestly. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about that if I'm being real. But yeah, Revolution's gonna be fun this week. There should be some other cool things happening. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. I think we're gonna end it there. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next.